Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the one single resource that has effectively powered our entire world for over a century is slowly but surely losing its iron grip on the global economy. I mean, for generations, oil has been the absolute lifeblood of modern civilization, right? It fuels our daily commutes, it powers heavy industry, it moves cargo across vast oceans, and it literally dictates the rise and fall of entire nations. But today, we are in the midst of this massive geopolitical transition. We're witnessing a fundamental shift in how the world generates and consumes its power. And this energy revolution isn't just about changing how we plug our stuff in. It's really about reshaping global influence. It's got the potential to create a completely new set of global economic superpowers. So the ultimate question for us today is this: as the world moves beyond oil, who is going to step up to lead the future? Here's the roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the age of oil, move into the quiet energy revolution, then look at the new economic superpowers, tackle the race for critical minerals, and finally dive into AI and the future. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the age of oil, how fossil fuels built the modern world. The transformation we've seen over the last century is honestly staggering. Think back to the early 1900s. The world pivoted pretty heavily from coal to oil, mostly because it was just way easier to transport, super efficient, and perfectly suited for those new internal combustion engines. Fast forward to the mid-20th century, and as cars became everyday staples and commercial air travel really took off, demand absolutely exploded. By the late 20th century, oil wasn't just a commodity anymore. It was pure power. Having massive oil reserves turned the United States into an industrial giant. It elevated the Middle East into this critical center of global power, and it completely shaped international trade across the board. But here's the thing about history. It proves time and time again that no dominant technology lasts forever. Zero. The past is packed with examples of old systems being totally replaced by new ones. So the age of oil, despite a solid century of absolute dominance, is facing a totally inevitable shift. The very system that built everything we know is confronting its absolute biggest challenge yet. Which brings us to Section 2, the quiet energy revolution, the inevitable technological tide. So just 20 years ago, a lot of experts pretty much dismissed renewable energy. They figured it would always be way too expensive to truly compete head-to-head with fossil fuels. But as we know, technology changes the math. Solar panels got drastically cheaper to produce. Wind turbines became highly efficient. Battery storage tech took a massive leap forward. Today, the reality is completely flipped. We're talking trillions of dollars being poured into clean energy right now. Renewables aren't some distant futuristic concept anymore. They are our present reality. And make no mistake, this massive trillion-dollar wave of investment isn't just being driven by environmental concerns. Not at all. Clean energy projects represent enormous economic opportunities. Governments and huge corporations are rushing in because this is a highly strategic race. They want to dominate the most lucrative and defining industries of tomorrow. You can actually see this shift happening right in our driveways. For a century, the gasoline engine was king. Every road trip, every delivery, totally dependent on oil. But now, as millions of drivers switch over to electric vehicles and governments rapidly build out charging infrastructure, the very foundation of our transportation economy is shifting. It's moving squarely away from oil and directly toward batteries, advanced software, and highly specialized manufacturing. Let's move to Section 3, the new economic superpowers, the high-stakes global competition. This global rivalry, it is already well underway. Let's look at the main players. China recognized this shift early on and played a really strategic long game, investing heavily so they could become the world's dominant manufacturer of solar panels and EV batteries. The United States, on the other hand, is fighting back by leveraging its massive strengths in innovation, AI, and advanced tech, while pouring money into bringing manufacturing back home. And then we've got India, which is rapidly rising as the ultimate alternative supply chain hub, completely backed by a massive population and a really fast-growing digital infrastructure. Let's zoom in a little closer on the United States' counter-strategy. Recognizing just how critical this new era is, America definitely isn't standing still. The U.S. is pouring billions of dollars into building brand new domestic factories. The primary goal here is to drastically cut down their dependence on foreign supply chains. They want to ensure that American innovation actually translates into localized manufacturing power in this new clean energy world. But then you have to consider this massive number, 1 billion. India is home to over 1 billion people. With its rapidly expanding middle class and this incredibly young, dynamic workforce, India is the ultimate surprise contender in all of this. While a lot of the world's attention is fixated on the US and China, India is quietly, steadily preparing to become a massive, totally indispensable global technology and manufacturing hub. Now for Section 4, Race for Critical Minerals, the New Currency of Power. Okay, so here is the major plot twist in our story. Moving away from oil absolutely does not mean moving away from resource dependence. Actually, scratch that. We're just depending on different resources. Analysts are increasingly calling a specific group of elements the new oil. We're talking about critical minerals, things like lithium, copper, nickel, cobalt, and rare earth elements. These aren't just rocks in the ground, they're the fundamental building blocks of all future technology. Whoever controls digging them up and processing them is going to gain enormous, sweeping influence over the entire future global economy. To put it plainly, that quiet energy revolution we just talked about, it literally cannot happen without these materials. The world desperately needs this new oil to build the batteries inside millions of new electric vehicles. We need rare materials to construct those massive offshore wind turbines. And we need highly specialized minerals to blanket deserts and vast solar panel farms. The entire green revolution is fundamentally tied right back to the Earth's crust. Because of this intense need, the global competition is fully underway. And honestly, it's going to be incredibly disruptive. Countries that have traditionally banked on massive fossil fuel revenues are going to face some very difficult economic decisions in the coming years. But on the flip side, the nations that are aggressively investing right now in education, clean infrastructure, and securing these critical mineral supply chains, they're positioning themselves to emerge stronger than ever. And finally, Section 5, AI and the Future, the ultimate force multiplier. So what happens when you mix all of this with the other huge tech leap of our time? AI is acting as the ultimate force multiplier here. It's already helping companies optimize their energy use and really improve manufacturing efficiency. But looking forward, AI is going to power these brilliant smart grids. It'll predict energy demand, manage battery storage, and make these complex new energy systems perfectly reliable. The nations that can successfully combine an abundance of clean energy with cutting-edge AI technologies, they are going to possess an almost unbeatable economic advantage. Which leads us to this incredibly powerful takeaway. The future won't belong solely to the nations that just happen to sit on top of valuable resources. It's going to belong to nations with the intelligence to process them, the innovation to build upon them, and the extreme adaptability required to navigate this constantly shifting landscape. Having raw materials alone, that's just no longer enough to guarantee superpower status. To summarize everything we've explored in today's explainer, the global energy shift is far, far bigger than just a story about electricity or fighting climate change. It is fundamentally a massive story about economic power, global leadership, and technological innovation. The age of oil absolutely built the modern world as we know it, for sure. But the next chapter is already being written right in front of us. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to ponder. As this totally new chapter in human history begins, and the paradigm shifts entirely from fossil fuels to critical minerals, renewables, and artificial intelligence, will your nation be ready to lead?